Zach Lavine and the Chicago Bulls are in Orlando taking on Aaron Gordon and the Orlando Magic. And Magic down by two, but Aaron Gordon putting Denzel Valentine in the mix. Fadeaway jump shot gets the friendly roll, ties the game up. Bulls down by one. Beautiful pass from Satoransky to Zach Lavine, who was cutting. Gets to dunk the Bulls up by one. Nice pass over the top from Vucevic to Gordon, who finds a cutting Markelle Fultz. Throws it down for the jam. The Magic getting back into control. Bulls up by four at that point. Zach Lavine with the range extender. Three-pointer on a contested. We're in the face of the contesting Jonathan Isaac. The Bulls were up 7 then. Down 2, and Terrence Rouse starts to come through for the Magic, the big three. He had a huge game off the bench. Satoransky played well too. He tries to cut the lead down here, gets it down to 4 with the 3. But later on, next possession, as a matter of fact, backdoor cutting Mo Bamba with the alley-oop slam. Then Vucevic hits the turnaround jump shot in Wendell Carter Jr.'s face, gets the roll. Vucevic again going to work against Wendell Carter Jr. He misses that one. Follow-up tip slam by Aaron Gordon, and Orlando wins it 103-95. A good scoring game for Zach Lavine, but not all that efficient. I believe he was 8 for 26 or something to that effect from the field, which is, not a great game, not an efficient game. But this was one of those weird nights, and you guys have heard me before talk about Zach Lavine and his shot selection and his defense and that sort of thing. But this was one of those strange nights where, to me, it felt like nobody else really wanted to step up and score. Nobody else was looking for their offense the way they needed to be. And yes, Zach wasn't shooting the ball well, but somebody had to put the shots up and somebody had to get some production. And he did somewhat keep the Bulls in the game throughout, especially in the second half, because this guy here, Lauri Markkanen, who happened to knock down this 1-3, really did not have a good game. For a while, it looked like Lauri was trending upwards, but he has really fallen back. Like, we got most of his highlights here, that everything he did in the entire game, so it just wasn't enough. And though Zach didn't shoot well, this is not a night I'm going to ride him and say, you could have done this or you could have done that. I thought he played well for the most part. It's just a lot of things with this. Like, your team is struggling. Like I'm going to say after the highlights, and I'm sure I'm going to repeat myself on this. Your team is struggling, man, when every night it feels like it's something different. Some other different reason why you lose. And, we can talk about coaching. We can talk about a lot of things. But same type of situation with these L's. So the root of another Bulls loss, actually, you can trace it to several different things. You can look at, they actually out-rebounded Orlando 48-46, but the shooting from the field was abysmal, under 40% as a team, 35% from three-point range. They lost out to the Magic in both of those categories. The bench scoring, the Bulls actually weren't bad off the bench. If you look at it, was just 25 points off the bench isn't horrible, but if you consider the fact that Terrence Ross had 26 off the bench by himself, he outscored the entire Bulls bench. So here's the thing. When you got a team that is subpar, like the Bulls, falling to 12-20, and obviously Orlando is just 13-17, but when it's a team, when that's the situation, you already know that on any given night, it could be a different thing. That is essentially the reason that the team falls. And this night, it looked to be shooting, and they didn't get enough off the bench. But again, 26 for Zach Lavine. Didn't shoot well from the field at all. Well under 33% from the field. Only 3 of 13 from the three-point line. Didn't get to the free throw line 7 times. Lauri Markkanen seems to be regressing. Only 10 points from Lauri. 3 rebounds. This is what it is with the Chicago Bulls night in, night out. It's time, in my opinion, to really start looking at potentially moving some pieces. I've talked about this before, and some people had a problem with it, me saying that perhaps moving Zach Lavine is something they should consider doing. I'm still for that. I see that Zach has some great games, and Zach is capable of explosive scoring nights and those sort of things. But clearly, he's the best player on a team that is far from good enough to be a contender. And sometimes that's the moving a player like him is what initiates and ignites a real improvement. Some people have this concept of if your team is bad, you keep your best player. No, that doesn't necessarily mean that. If your team is bad, you're not good enough. Your best player isn't good enough. So rearranging things is more, especially in basketball, because in basketball, when you have a true killer, a true number one superstar, you're usually not this bad. You're usually not 12 and 20, right? That's not who Zach is. The Bulls don't have a guy like that. So for me, nobody on the team is really off limits. They can't be, because who has proven themselves to be an unquestionable building block? Nobody. So that's why I say that. But another loss, 103-95. Bulls fall. The next game for the Bulls is on December 28th, so they get a good amount of time off. So they're off Christmas Eve, Christmas, the day after that, and the day after that, and then they come back on the 28th. So they should be refreshed. We'll see if there's any trade rumors that kick up over that time period. But December 28th at home against the Atlanta Hawks, hopefully for Chicago Bulls fans' sake, we'll have a little bit of a happier ending. The Bulls have played pretty well against the Hawks this year, so your hopes can be a little bit up for that particular game. But as always, I appreciate you watching. If you haven't subscribed, you haven't liked yet, make sure you do that. Talking Chicago sports on this channel. As I mentioned on the previous video talking about the Bears, we're going to be doing pretty much exclusively Chicago sports on the channel moving forward. I want you to, if you're still looking for the gaming stuff, make sure you subscribe to @MeBro. That's where those videos will be moving forward. I appreciate you watching as always. God bless and peace.